Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk KFYO. Joining us on the phones right now, National Spokesperson for the RNC, Liz Harrington. Good morning, Liz. How are you today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Appreciate you joining us. Obviously, the coronavirus pandemic is issue number one, just everywhere. And you see the different, in Congress right now. I think President Trump. We're rolling out the PPP program, the CARES Act. You see the stimulus checks that are going out. A lot of people are being helped out. There's already talk about more funding in the future. It seems like, Liz, that the Republicans want to handle the current crisis at hand. But the Democrats may want to handle other things along with maybe handling this crisis. Is that a good way of putting it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. They don't want this pandemic to go to waste. They want to get political agendas through that they've wanted for a very long time. And it's really despicable if you see Nancy Pelosi just laying this pandemic, which, mind you, started because of a communist regime's cover-up in Wuhan. Now she's blaming the president directly after she was the one who was going down and saying, hey, come to Chinatown.
Right.
In a month after President Trump put in those travel restrictions. So her and the media write history, but they're also playing politics to try to get their agenda through and using this pandemic. You mentioned the Paycheck Protection Program. It's the one part of the CARES Act, which, remember, this is the largest relief package ever passed in history, $2.2 trillion. And a lot of that money is barely out the door yet, the money to hospitals, the money to states. But the one part of the program that's already up and running, the Trump administration did amazing turnaround work in just a week to get that system. It's very complex, but up and running for our small businesses, and it's working. The demand is there. So they see that it's the one program that needs some more funding because we want to make sure our great businesses and our great workers have a job to go back to once this once this crisis is over. Democrats are saying, no, it was bipartisan. It passed 96-0 in the Senate, but we're not going to refill that program. We want to demand a list of other priorities that has nothing to do with the crisis at hand. I mean, you can see very clearly what the Democrats are all about here. Nancy Pelosi's demanding 2 years' worth of food stamp increases. So she wants you not to go back to work. She wants you to be dependent on the government for 2 years from now. Yeah. And that really it shows what their motivations are.
Well, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. I know that Republicans have been talking about extra money that needs to go into that the Triple P program, but Democrats are holding that up. They're actually blaming Republicans, but the Democrats are holding that up because they want to add extra money for all these different programs that have nothing to do with coronavirus at all. And the media, of course, goes along with what the Democrats are portraying right now.
Of course, and they change their headlines in real time. Yeah. You see it in the New York Post, you see it at NBC News, all of these different outlets. Democrats blocked that vote. I mean, that's just authoritative fact. It's objective fact. And they changed their headline to say, oh, well, now the Senate's in a gridlock. It looks like there's an impasse. Well, no. Democrats blocked something that literally got unanimous support. And there's not even enough lawmakers in town to hash out a deal. Leader McConnell's saying, look, this isn't the last word. This isn't the final word. We can do more things, but nobody's in town. We can do this by unanimous consent. But Democrats, no, that's too simple. It makes too much sense for Democrats to do that. And their agenda is so radical that they're trying to get pushed through. You see it in state after state. They're taking their liberal lawyers and attacking the integrity of our voting system. I mean, they want to completely overhaul the way we vote in this country because they think it's going to give them a political advantage, and it's something we need to be really attuned about and push back against, because Democrats are trying to use this pandemic. Now you see Michelle Obama coming out in favor of all mail-in voting. Oh, it sounds like a no-brainer. It would absolutely upend our elections in this country, increase the opportunity for fraud, and it would sow chaos and confusion where we would not have the results of our elections on Election Day, and we would have no confidence in that result. Can you imagine proposing such a thing during a pandemic when there's so much uncertainty already? The one thing that we need to really hold on to is the fundamentals of how we vote in this country. Right. And Democrats want to tear that down like the rest of it.
Well, and I think you bring up a really good point about the integrity of the election. Adam Schiff, during the impeachment trial, when coronavirus was going on over in China, Adam Schiff was, he spoke on the Senate floor, I believe, about how we may not be able to trust the results of the election. And this was before coronavirus, right? And Now they want to have a mail-in program where you can't trust the results of the election. So if President Trump wins even by mail, I mean, you got a double whammy as far as not being able to trust the results of the election as far as what the Democrats are concerned with, right?
It's amazing. I'm so glad you brought that up. For 3 years, they tried to sow doubt and confusion in the results of 2016. And then when that didn't work, they tried to sow doubt and confusion into 2020 before it even happened. They said, well, he's going to cheat. It was so absurd. He's going to cheat by going to Ukraine. It doesn't even make any sense. And here we are now. They're calling for the very policies that would actually weaken the integrity of our vote. And you're talking about sending ballots to, quote-unquote, every single registered voter. Well, that sounds sensible, right? Well, too bad that states do not clean and do regular maintenance on their rolls. Mm-hmm. So that means millions more ballots would be out in circulation than there are living adults in this country. Millions of ballots that would be fraudulent, that would not be registered eligible voters. That is the problem. California, just last year, California alone was forced by a court settlement to remove 1.5 million voters off their rolls because they weren't eligible to vote. So imagine if we did that, what the Democrats are saying, nationalize our election, we can mail a ballot to every single registered voter. That means there would be millions more out there to ineligible voters. And to put it on top of that, Democrats say, oh, yeah, and we'll just do ballot harvesting while we're at it. So all of these millions of extra ballots, we'll have paid campaign operatives picking them up and delivering them to the polls. It's completely absurd, and that is their end game. And so talk about cheating in an election. Talk about sowing doubt and confusion and not playing by the rules. That is what Democrats are arguing for, and we can't let them do it because you'll notice every single thing they're proposing now for voting in a pandemic is exactly what they proposed last year and the year before that and the year before that, before we had ever even heard of the coronavirus. So don't fall for it.
Liz, before I let you go, I got to get your comments. Yesterday, a very brave, bold move by the former President Barack Obama to endorse Joe Biden after everyone dropped out of the race. His best friend, a guy who was there with him every step of the way, didn't get the endorsement of the former president, until yesterday. But Obama said that Joe Biden has, quote, the most progressive platform of any nominee on the Democrat side in history. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's amazing. Is there no one else? It's almost like he was still holding out to see if
there's still a chance
that he didn't have to endorse his, running mate. It's such a joke, but he's right about that. They've pushed this guy so far to the left, it's irrecognizable. This party, it is a much more liberal platform than Barack Obama was running on in 2008. He's right about that, but it's a complete disaster for the country. It is so out of step with the mainstream, and they're going to try to drag him across the finish line. It didn't work. How did Barack Obama's endorsement work out for Hillary Clinton when he said you'd need a magic wand to bring back manufacturing? Well, we're bringing back manufacturing, and we're going to continue when we get through this recovery. Can you imagine endorsing someone and saying, oh, yeah, this is the guy you want to do the same recovery that we did in 2009? That was not even a recovery at all. We've seen the Obama-Biden playbook. It's a loser for America. It's a loser for American workers, and it's going to be a loser on November 3rd.
Liz Harrington, national spokesperson for the RNC. Always glad to have you here on the show, and stay healthy. We'll visit with you down the road.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's Liz Harrington here on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk KFYO.